Thank you. Was that it?
That's it.
All right.
I know you talked a lot about the depth and interchangeable parts of this team. Just early on, what offense do you kind of find that depth is giving you?
Well, we've got a few more athletes, especially on the perimeter. You know, we've looked at some different combinations. I think, you know, for example, I think we can play Alex and Ben together if we want to go big. We've played Nigel a little bit at the 4 if we want to be smaller and a little quicker. I think that's important that, you know, sometimes a game dictates how you need to be playing, and every game's different. And we haven't necessarily been able to do that at all times the last couple of seasons.
Coach, you mentioned the depth, especially with Ben and Alex. I know that your mantra is defense and rebounding. Is it exciting to finally have 4 or 5 guys that can play in that power forward center position?
It is, and you know, you look at Justin Johnson. I know he's a freshman, but he doesn't play like a typical freshman. You know, he's high energy. I think anytime you average 18, 19 rebounds a game in high school, you can't teach that. And he knows how to chase the ball, and he chases it when it's not in his area. And I'm excited about what he brings to the table as well. And then, you know, the guy kind of is a forgotten man, so to speak, is Rob Marbury, freshman walk-on that's 6'8" and tough, knows how to play, and, you know, I think he could find himself in the mix as well.
I know you mentioned liking some of the different looks in your full-court press over the summer, some of the different things you could do with it. How much more do you possibly see maybe use that with conditioning and depth?
Well, I think, you know, first and foremost, you have to have depth. If you want to press the way I like to press, if you want to just, you know, be a control tempo and make teams use shot clock type of press, you don't necessarily have to have the depth. But if you're going to try to create some turnovers and have your conditioning wear on teams, and maybe the last 10 minutes of the game is when it takes hold, you have to have depth, and fortunately we do. Will we be able to press 40 minutes every game? No, but I think if we're smart and we pick and choose when we press, I think this team can be effective, and they've been good at times when we press in the preseason.
Coach, I know you mentioned that you said T.J. Price is in some of the best shape of his career, and he's been playing with it. What have you seen from T.J. over the summer and fall?
Well, like you said, I think he was in great conditioning. Now, he missed about 4 days last week with just was right before hysteria. We held him out of Saturday night hysteria, just a slight strain, but we didn't want to take any chances. We wanted to get it back 100%. But he was one of those guys that I think he really worked on some areas that he was deficient in the off season. He's always been a very good catch and shoot guy, and when he gets on a roll, he can put points on the board in a hurry. But I think he's expanded his game. He's got really been worked on his mid-range game, and his ability to get the ball to the basket. I mean, he's a former defensive end in football, so obviously strong and that type of football mentality. And with him being a good free throw shooter, we need him to get there more. And you know, I've seen him really work on that area of his game, and hopefully, you know, it's going to pay dividends for him and us this season. That's a turnover. Yeah. Hey, I see them every day. Don't worry about it.
4 seniors this year, including Price and Fant. Is there any sense of urgency on this team to win and have a really good season into the postseason?
I don't know about sense of urgency. We expect to win every year. I mean, you know, we've won 20 games in back-to-back seasons. We've been to 2 of the last 3 NCAA tournaments, and you know, we've overcome a lot of obstacles in terms of the number of injuries that we've encountered. And all my years of coaching, I've never experienced anything like it. You know, 2 years ago when we played Kansas in the first round, I felt like had we had that entire team together the whole season, you'd have seen a much higher seed. But you just don't experience the type of injuries that we had, and most teams could not have overcome it. You don't lose Jamal Crook for 8 weeks, who's your starting point guard. Caden Dickerson was a 8-week guy. TJ Price was about 4 to 6 weeks. I could go on and on, but I think what we were able to do was establish a culture of toughness and staying with the process and understanding there's going to be some bumps in the road, and fortunately we got all those guys back at the end of the season. We made a great run, so hopefully we can be injury free this year, and you're going to have the nicks and the sprained ankles and those type of things, but you want to avoid the ones where guys are lost for extended periods of time. And if this team is able to do that, and they all stay on the same page and same goals, I think I like this team. I think we've got a chance to be a good basketball team.
Where do you see your place in the conference? I mean, where do you see you fitting?
Fitting?
Top 3, top 4, top 2?
I'd like to be top 1. And I've seen preseason polls. We were picked 7th. I've seen 5th. I think the coaches poll, they just released the top 4, and we weren't in there. But again, it's not about where you're picked at the beginning of the season and what people think you're going to be. It's about what you do over the course of the season, do between the lines. And we just got to continue to work, not worry ourselves with what other people think. And to the team's credit, up to this point, they've done that. And I think I can say we've had a group of guys that, for the summer and the two and a half weeks we've been in practice, they've been good. And I think we've got a lot accomplished, and we've got a lot more to accomplish going forward. But in terms of, and Mark, you've known me a long time, I like this team. I think, they work hard, they have the right attitude, but again, it's about staying as one. And if we can do that, then we'll see what happens.
Coach, last year, Carl Comedy would come in and wreak havoc sometimes, especially when you press. Has there been a guy that has stepped up to replace in that role that Carl had last year?
I don't know about that. I mean, we've had a lot of guys, and again, we just have more parts. Carl was loved Carl. He was one of those guys, when he came in the game, he was going to play extremely hard. He was active. We have some guys that are like that, but maybe a little more talented, just gifted, can score better. Justin, for example, I think he has that type of energy, but you're talking about a guy who averaged 19 rebounds a game in high school, and knows how to score it. He's tough. So I guess if I was going to pinpoint any one person, I guess it would be Justin would fill that role. And I don't know. Again, I'm not one of those guys that get caught up in minutes played. It's about being productive when you're out there, but Justin probably will fill those minutes, and then some other guys' minutes as well.
What differences, if any, are you taking to approaching the Conference USA schedule as opposed to Sun Belt schedule?
None. We approach every game. It's one game at a time. Whoever's next up's the most important game. So our primary focus will be, right now is on ourselves, and we're like that a lot during the season. We don't concern ourselves so much with our opponent as we do ourselves. But our biggest focus, I guess, would be November 15th, Austin Peay, and that's our opening game. Obviously, we've got a scrimmage and an exhibition prior to that, but our biggest game right now in the season is November 15th when we open up against Austin Peay.
What have you seen from Chris Harrison-Knox as far as maturity after playing half the season last year?
Man, you're talking about a kid that came off probably his best practice of the year yesterday. He can shoot the basketball. He can score in bunches. you know, I think he's confident. He's comfortable with the system, and you know, he and Trincy both set out a year, and it usually takes a little bit of time to get back in the flow. Usually 3 or 4 games, and then when you're roll into that second year, you usually see a big jump. And I think what we'd like to see is be a little more consistent. Consistency from him, and also turnovers down and assists up. That's the one thing we're preaching to him is, you know, it's important that you get the basketball to guys when they're open at the right times, and he's done a good job of that in the preseason.
When you say he has his best practice, is that really what it comes down to, consistency? Is that what's kind of impressive?
I think with everyone, you know, that's something we talk about a lot. You have to be consistent, and I think yesterday, guys, I think he was like 9 for 10 from the 3, 5 assists, maybe 1 turnover in a 2.5 hour practice. So, and just his demeanor yesterday was just, he was a leader. He was on the second team, and he led that team. By the end of the practice, he flipped jerseys, and he was back over on the other team.
George has been steady, been big in big games, and you mentioned that. But what do you expect or hope for him, I guess, in this senior year?
Consistency. You know, do it every night we roll out. We know what we're going to get. He's a guy that we feel like can get 15, 16 a night, and feel like he should get 7 or 8 rebounds a night. Be a leader. He's a senior, and you know, it's the first time that we've had 3 seniors that are probably, unless something crazy happens, going to be in the starting lineup. That not only in the starting lineup, but they're the guys. They're the guys we're going to look to when we need buckets, the game's on the line. Those are the guys we're going to go to. So, you know, that's a good feeling as a coach.
Anything else for Coach Harper today? All right.
All right.
Everybody.
Thanks.